ain't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's your boy Ernie, the Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so today's video, we're going to be talking about X-Men number 19. This is the first we have gotten of anything from Heir of Apocalypse, which came out, I believe, earlier this year. I'm not going to lie, I kind of slick forgot about that story arc because it was
The world.
in the fallout of the Heir of Apocalypse. One of the things that was promised is that Apocalypse was going to step away, that he was going to stay on Arakko and do whatever Apocalypse normally does when he's not doing his survival of the fittest thing. And on Earth, Cypher was going to become the new Apocalypse. Or rather, he's not Apocalypse. His name is Revelation. We saw him get like a fancy little glow up and a new costume, all that shit, and yeah. And I think one of the things that got lost in translation was that with that costume change, with that glow up, also came some new abilities and new status quos for Cypher. Yes, he does still have Warlock and Bay the Blood Moon by his side. As a matter of fact, Bay the Blood Moon, I think, has spoken more in this issue than we have ever heard her speak the entirety of the Krakoan era. They're both ride or die for Revelation. When Revelation got the costume change, his body was reworked. Of all of the mutants, more specifically the New Mutants, the team that Cypher had first started out with, he was the weakest one. I mean, his power was just so strange and unusual. It was, like, honestly, he's a character that should not exist. Or at least should not be as popular as he was, but the thing is, the writing was so good with his character that he transcended having a weak-ass power. And then that power over the years has been, kind of touched on and reworked and tweaked, with little subtle upgrades that have actually made him a whole problem as he has progressed as a character. So it's just proof positive that just because a character starts out in a weird place doesn't mean they're always going to be in that weird place, especially now. But no, his body has been changed. He is now more durable than ever. He's able to survive being thrown out of a window, something that would have been a pretty big deal for him. Beforehand, he get thrown out a window. I mean, that dude it's a wrap. Cypher used to be one of the most easily killable mutants of all time, and now he actually can stand shoulder to shoulder with someone like an Insaba Nur. I'm here for it. This also probably means he has upgraded strength and, some other things. He probably got the standard superhero grab bag of powers that usually most all superheroes or supervillains tend to have. Superhuman strength, durability, agility, speed, stamina, all that shit. And one of the things that this issue really focuses on is what is Cypher's new mission? Because that was something that was made very clear at the end of Heir of Apocalypse, was that he was not going to do what Apocalypse had done before. He wasn't going to work through the methodology of the survival of the fittest. No, he said he was going to lead a different way, and Apocalypse agreed that if Cypher would have just continued on what Apocalypse was already doing, it would be a waste, that he would be very disappointed. And Cypher then later reveals that what he actually plans to do is to show them the error of their ways. And he's going to do this most likely through the benefit of one of his new abilities. Now, I said earlier, Cypher, one of the reasons why he has always remained a very lovable character is because he's always getting these little tweaks to his personality and maybe even just some flashbacks to who he's always been, but also getting new tweaks to his powers. And we discover he has a new one. So one of the things that came up over the course of Cypher's publication history, and even more in the recent, is that not only does he understand any language he hears, with the exception of Bay the Blood Moon's psionic language, he doesn't understand that at all, but he does understand everything else. But it's not just spoken languages. He understands body language as well. He understands computer language. And these are all things he's used to great effect. He used computer language to understand and be able to navigate hacking and things like that over the years. And he's also more recently been using body language as a means to be able to read what people are going to do before they do it and allow him to become a much better fighter. Now, in this era, he has gotten yet another one, but this is something a little more direct. Cypher, or rather, Revelation, has the ability to command other living sentient life. Anyone with, as Warlock points out, a thinking brain, basically a sentient person, if you can think for yourself, you can be controlled by the Revelation. He can literally tell you whatever it is he wants you to do, and you're going to do it. He even goes as far as to force someone to retire their own jersey this issue. Literally, had that man hang his own shit up in the rafters himself, and that was before he pulled the trigger. And it's crazy. It's a wild power, and it's not something we haven't seen before. We actually have more recently seen Axo use his empathy powers to command other people to do things. And we also have seen the Purple Man, as well as his daughter Persuasion, as well as his other children, the Purple Children. We've seen them use their powers to tell people to do shit, and they do it, even when it's to their own detriment. But Revelation having this power, to me, is a huge deal, because this is going to give him a leg up on something that I think a lot of people never thought about before. This is a natural occurrence with his powers because of Apocalypse's ability to inspire others, to get people to listen to him and do what he wants them to do. As even Bay the Blood Moon says, you speak with the authority of Apocalypse. You command obedience from all minds who have the capacity to listen to you. So this is going to make him a whole problem, and what I think is going to make it even more interesting is that he reveals his new mission is to hack the planet. Now, what could this potentially mean? It could mean a lot of things, but considering the tongue-in-cheek reference that it is to, I believe it's the 1994 film Hackers, it doesn't necessarily mean what I think a lot of people are going to immediately jump to. We got to go back to what he said at the end of Heir of Apocalypse. He wants to reveal to them the error of their ways. Who is them? Is he talking about mutants? Is he talking about humans? It honestly could be a little bit of both, honestly. In Hackers, it wasn't necessarily meant to be literal. What they were talking about is changing the system, to undo the systems that were currently in place, to change the world in a way they saw fit. And that's what I feel like Cypher might be potentially doing here. Instead of planning a fight for the fittest of all mutants, maybe it's now more in an effort to make the planet, and not just the planet, but more realistically society as a whole, better, so that mutants have a place to thrive. This could be as simple as sending out a worldwide message using his power to actually change hearts and minds, or maybe more literally in the sense of the movie Hackers, change the systems of the world to benefit mutants as opposed to humans. Now, one thing to take into consideration here as well, there are people out there that are trying to stop him. We know for a fact that the ONE, the Office of National Emergency, they have a new splinter cell that has spawned off from them, and they are actively trying to hunt Revelation down and retire his jersey just the same. The whole thing here is that this seems to be less of an official thing, more of an unofficial thing, and these people, they don't call themselves the ONE, obviously. They call themselves Zero. Now, to be fair, the way the Zero is spelled in this, there's very clearly an acronym somewhere in there. But what Zero ultimately stands for is that there are no good mutants. That the only good mutant is a dead one. That's basically the mission statement of this group, and they're afraid of what Revelation is planning to do. Now, Zero is dealt with pretty handily in this issue, but once again, we don't know who's actually pulling the strings there, because, as I said, this is an unofficial Splinter Cell. This is not on the books. That means the ONE probably doesn't even know of his existence. And what's happening here is that Revelation is now going into the wind with Bay and Warlock in an effort to hack the world, and they're already talking about needing the X-Men to do it. Now, the question becomes, how are the X-Men going to respond? to what Cypher's talking about, because I feel like, well, yes, Doug is usually pretty well liked amongst most of the different X teams, most of the different X characters. He's generally pretty well regarded, but like in this particular moment, he's going to be coming at things from a very different angle, and I don't know how each team is going to deal with it, and I think that's going to be where the real story lies. How are the Uncanny X-Men, in Louisiana, how are they going to feel about it? Is Rogue going to immediately open up to what Revelation is selling? Is she going to immediately believe in the idea of hacking the planet to build a better world for mutant kind, even if that means potentially making it not a better world for humans? How is Cyclops going to respond to it? Is he going to be okay with that? Because one thing you got to remember, while Cyclops is ride or die for mutant kind, he also isn't terribly fond of hurting humans in order to do it. Yes, there is the whole revolutionary Cyclops angle, but we did see just very recently in the Krakoan era, towards his end, Cyclops was not happy with Xavier over the idea of him sacrificing humanity, literally handing over humanity to Orcus on a silver platter just so mutants can carve out a small little place on planet Earth. He couldn't get jiggy with that. So for me, I think that, maybe there might be some pushback from Cyclops if humanity is, on the chopping block. How will the Exceptional X-Men deal with it? Because we got to remember, the Exceptional X-Men is not just OG X-Men characters, but also newer, younger characters who might have an opinion on what Revelation is attempting to do. Yeah, I think, like I said, that's going to be where the story is, and where he heads next. I think it's safe to say, because this is in Jed MacKay's side of things, he'll probably be going to speak with the adjectiveless X-Men in Alaska. But yeah, I think it's safe to say he's probably going to be hitting up a little bit of everybody. I'm hyped for it. I like this. I like the idea of what this is. So fingers crossed, this goes better than Heir of Apocalypse.